Broadcasting live from the Pro Business Channel studios in Atlanta, Georgia. It's time for Capital Club Radio. Brought to you by Flock Specialty Finance. Please welcome your host, Chairman and CEO, Michael Flock.
Good afternoon, and welcome to Capital Club Radio. We are absolutely delighted to have as our guest today John Bedard, the founder and managing partner of the Bedard Law Group. John, of course, is an attorney and national recognized authority on the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act and the Fair Credit Reporting Act. He serves as counsel to several professional trade associations, including the Georgia Collectors Association, amongst others. He's a published writer on industry topics and a former member of the board of directors of the industry's leading professional trade association, ACA International. He's recognized also by the Collection Advisor magazine as one of the nation's top 50 most influential people in the collection industry. Wow. He serves as the state of Georgia compliance chairperson for ACA International and is a former chairperson and program designation award recipient of ACA International's Members Attorney Program. John, we are really thrilled that you could take time out of your busy schedule this afternoon to talk to us about your firm, what you do, where you've come from, where you're going. But let's start when you were a young kid. Now, what were your dreams? Did you dream about being a collection attorney, an expert in compliance?
Admittedly, Mike, the answer is no. I did dream about being a lawyer, and I also did dream about being a statesman. I thought I wanted to be a statesman when I was a kid.
Okay.
And then I met a few statesmen, and then I learned about how law gets made. And then I decided at some point that maybe being a lawyer was better. And so I abandoned my dreams of being a statesman. And I decided I was going to be a lawyer. And I didn't have any advisors or family members that steered me in a different direction. And so here I am many, many years later, fulfilling one of my dreams, which was to be a lawyer. And I do love being a lawyer.
Mm-hmm. But so what turned you off, though, about being a statesman? You said the way laws were made, sort of like sausage. Is something to do with sausage?
That's a perfect analogy, Mike. You know, there are two things you never want to see the process of their production. One of them is sausage.
Right.
The other one is the law, because it can really be a gruesome process. And I don't think I was cut out for that. And I'm proud to have realized that when I was young.
Mm-hmm. Although some people might describe the collection law business as gruesome, and you're there now to clean it up, I suppose, with your compliance services that you offer, correct?
That's true. We do have clients who make messes.
Mm-hmm.
We do have clients that mess on themselves from time to time, and we do help them clean it up.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that we do that is even more valuable than that is we help them stay clean.
Mm-hmm.
And so we teach them how to comply with the myriad of state and federal laws that they've got to comply with.
Mm-hmm.
And we do some cleanup from time to time when and if they get sued. And recently, in the last 5, 6, 7 years, we have seen a dramatic increase in government regulatory action and oversight of our clients. And so we have helped a great many of our clients clean themselves off of the residue of government when government steps in.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So how did you get to this point? Because I think you started in the mortgage space, right? And then you got into collections. And so how tell our audience a little bit about the evolution of this journey.
Sure.
You had.
Like you mentioned at the beginning, I never went to law school wanting to represent debt collectors. I didn't even know what debt collectors were when I was in law school. And so after I graduated, I joined a firm that served primarily the mortgage industry, mortgage lenders, mortgage brokers. And we did for those clients very much the same thing I do now for the collection industry, which is all of their compliance work and all of their defense litigation. You know, debt collectors believe that they are very heavily regulated by government, but try lending money secured by real property to a consumer, that introduces an entirely new level of regulation. And so the skill set, which was compliance skill sets and regulatory and litigation defense skill set, which I learned and applied in the mortgage space, fit very nicely in the collection space.
Okay.
And as a young associate at a law firm that is trained to go out and develop business if you ever want to be a partner and you want to develop clients, I learned very quickly that I needed to get out from under the very comfortable wings of the partners and really blaze a little bit of a new trail, but not go too far from the nest, so to speak. And the collection space was a very nice complement to our mortgage compliance and defense litigation practice. And so that's how I began in the the collection space. It was kind of by accident, but it was a very nice complement to the practice that we already had.
So the mortgage experience was like a training ground then for the regulatory and compliance work that you are now doing?
I think that's fair. Yeah, absolutely. Because the skill set is the same. It's studying the law, studying the cases, and giving clients sound, compliant business advice that help them navigate what is sometimes some very uncertain legal waters.
Right. That's interesting. So tell me, though, from an attorney standpoint, going from mortgages to collections, is that less competitive? Because I imagine the mortgage space is extremely competitive. It's saturated, isn't it?
Well, at the time, it was a very robust industry. You know, of course, we've all know what's been happening in the mortgage space for the last 10, 15, years. And so in the late 90s, when I began in the mortgage space, the business was growing. We had a lot of work, and it grew and grew and grew. It grew so much that we were hiring people at my old firm, and it was very good. And the things that I learned in that space, I think, really did help me to develop my practice in the collection space, because it was the same kind of skills that we used, understanding the law and helping clients comply with them. And it was all financial services related. And so it was a bit of a learning ground, so to speak. And it made a very nice complement to a business that ended up really taking on a life of its own as my own professional development grew.
Right. So today in the collection industry, as an attorney specializing in compliance, regulatory affairs, how do you differentiate yourself? Because I think maybe 10 years ago it was a little bit different. We didn't have Dodd-Frank, the creation of the CFPB. Today there are dozens and dozens of attorneys that do what you do. But how does the Bedard Law Group stand out? What is your strategy to serve this market and differentiate you and your team?
Yes. I am most proud of what I think is our most valuable differentiator, which is that we can think outside the box better than anyone. And so things aren't always as they appear. And when we're faced with unique legal challenges, when we have clients that have complex business puzzles that need to be integrated with complex legal problems, we bring experience and we bring this ability to solve problems by bringing solutions that are outside the box in order to meet client needs. That's what we do best.
Okay. Can you give our listeners some examples of that? I mean, it sounds nice, John. Everybody likes to say we think outside the box.
That's right.
Give us some examples. And by the way, I recall that you told me that, you were kind of a recovering entrepreneur and that you do like to, play with apps. Are these apps, is that also part of your strategy to differentiate Bedard Law Group?
It is, and really, though the apps, which I'll talk about in a moment, it's really a demonstration of our ability to identify need and to fill the need, right? So we go out into the marketplace and we understand and we observe that not only clients, but even other lawyers in the marketplace have a need to have at their fingertips the legal resources necessary to give good compliance advice and to understand what the law is. And we did not see an app or a product in the marketplace that was focused specifically on our collection space. So what I did with the help of some programmers is created what we call ARM Law. And that is an app that is available through the iTunes store, and it's also available on Google and the Android platform. And literally, it is an app which focuses exclusively on the collection industry and provides the law and provides the cases that are most important to people in this space. If you want to find a case on letter cases and mini Miranda cases, you can find it. You want to find voicemail cases, you can find it. You want to find the statute, the FDCPA, the FCRA, the TCPA. You want to look at the it's all right there at your fingertips. And the reason we did that is because we saw a need in the marketplace that wasn't being filled by somebody else.
So you built this app?
Correct. Yes. And it's almost like the refrigerator that we load from behind. The way we keep the data current is to constantly be loading the app from behind so that every time a user opens the app, they have a fresh copy of all of the new data that we put in it sort of in the back end. The other things that we have done in terms of thinking outside the box is we saw another need in the marketplace that wasn't being filled, and that is a need for speech analytics. We have a lot of clients who either are unable or unwilling to spend the kind of capital investment it takes to really implement a robust speech analytics program in our space. And so what we did is we decided to make the investment in those tools, and our firm provides a completely outsourced turnkey speech analytics solutions on a flat fee subscription basis. And we don't see any other lawyers in the marketplace doing that right now. And we provide our clients with legal advice on the content of their telephone calls because we are analyzing their calls for them.
Wow. And it's all automated.
And it is almost all automated, yes.
Okay. From say almost, what's not?
That we always have humans back at the office making sure that the automation is working properly.
Okay.
And so from the client's perspective, it is automated.
Right.
They get a username and password. They log into a secure FTP. They see their results of our analytics and our legal advice. But we have humans operating the machinery in the background. Yep.
So the clients for this would be obviously collection agencies, call centers,
and asset buyers. Many asset buyers and many collection agencies are using our speech analytics tool as part of their vendor management oversight programs. And so when asset buyers have many, many different agencies touching and working their business, this is a way that they can oversee what's happening between their account holders and their agents that are.
Could you drill down one more level then and tell us exactly then, give us an example of, what kind of dimensions in speech analytics you analyze and review and report on?
Yes. So this is what I get most excited about here, Michael, because we are really right now, and for a few years now, been going through what I describe as a data revolution, right? Big data is a word that we hear all the time, and I think it is very underutilized in our collection industry. And so what we are doing is gathering the data on these telephone calls and reporting it back to clients. It's easy to find phone calls in which speakers on the phone are using profanity, right? It's not so easy to identify the ingredients of a call that results in a payment, right? And so we are using speech analytics to help clients stay in compliance. We are using it to help clients identify defects in their processes, but we are also beginning to help clients now make production decisions on what to say, how to say it, how long to say it, because those things matter.
So let me make sure I get this, that this speech analytics program can actually discern, you call them ingredients, what features in, let's say, a collector's talk off that can turn that call into money, to turn into cash. So it's sort of like the secret sauce of a call program. Is that what you're saying?
In a sense, the answer is yes. And it's not all automated. This does take human analysis as well, because the speech analytics tool is designed to gather the data, and then the humans look at the data and make some of those decisions. So, for example, we can create word clouds that tell us the ingredients of telephone calls. So if we segment out all of your payment calls, we can study the word clouds on those calls. We can study the balance of a phone call. What percentage of the call does the consumer speak versus what percentage of the call the agent speaks? And is there a statistically significant number at which the payment calls hover around? Maybe the ingredients of a payment call at this business on this business line, the agent sweet spot for speaking is only 42% of the call, and the consumer does the rest of the speaking.
42% just for the agent.
I'm making those numbers up, right?
Oh, okay.
And so, but we study that because the number is different for different clients. It's 42 for client A. It's 56 for client B. Some clients have phone calls with an average duration of 37 minutes. Some have an average duration of only 7 minutes, right? So it just depends. But the idea in this product, and thinking outside the box, which was your original question, is identifying client need, which is to utilize the data that they have the most of, which is their telephone call data, in a way that can help drive production and keep them compliant.
That's exciting.
It is very exciting.
Come a long way.
Indeed, it has. It has become very sophisticated.
So your journey through this process, tell us a little bit about some of the challenges or adversity that you faced along the way, or was it really pretty smooth sailing?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't always smooth sailing. There are, growing up and throughout my childhood and even throughout much of my career, I use the cliche that adversity is sometimes the mother of invention, right? And so I sometimes come up with my best ideas when I really, really have to, because maybe there's some adverse circumstance that makes me think of it. Everything from learning how to smoke cigarettes I did way back in the day when I did some traveling, to trying to find a place to stay for a night when I was traveling and didn't have a place to go, to understanding client needs and coming up with different products and solutions for clients that they're not getting fulfilled in by maybe others in the industry right now, and we can step in and we can help.
That's an interesting. Tell us more about looking for a place to stay and client needs. I remember you told me once about a trip to Europe that you took, and I think it was one of your first trips, and you had some life lessons there. What did you learn, and how do those life lessons apply to what you're doing today?
So back when I graduated from college, I had plans to travel around Europe, and I was supposed to actually travel around Europe with my girlfriend. Well, graduation comes, and there's no more girlfriend. And so I am then faced with the decision, do I go on this trip or not? Because we had been planning it together. And I thought to myself, I'm not canceling this trip. I'm going by myself. And the plan was to backpack around Europe, and I kept those plans as well. So with a little bit of cash in my pocket, with a plane ticket that arrived in Paris on, I think it was someday in June.
A round-trip ticket? Or
it was a round-trip ticket, but my return flight wasn't for 36 days later.
Wow, okay.
And so I had a backpack on my back, and that's all I had. And I landed in Paris, and
that's all you had.
That is, and a little bit of cash in my pocket, and that was it. And so the first thing that comes to mind when I walk out of the train station is just at this amazing sight of the Paris skyline, and then being very nervous and panicking a little bit about, oh my gosh, where am I going to stay? Where am I going to go? The very first thing I did was begin to look for a place to stay, and I learned about youth hostels, and I met all kinds of people. So by about day 5 or 6, I didn't worry about finding a place to stay until about 3 or 4 in the afternoon, because I felt comfortable that I could do it no matter what. Then lo and behold, I would meet some folks and they would take me in, and just by meeting them. And so
Sort of
I thought
like
to myself,
Airbnb?
well, almost. And so I learned, Mike,
Yeah.
that if I went to the bar and I had a pack of cigarettes with me,
Okay.
I could meet the guy sitting next to me and offer him a cigarette. And even though I only spoke English, we could communicate. And lo and behold, at some point, they would always ask, well, where are you going tonight? It's 11 o'clock. And I said, I don't really have a place. I'll find a place. Oh, well, come on back with me. Of my 36 days in Europe, Mike, for 2 weeks, I just stayed with folks who took me in.
Wow.
And to me,
Yeah.
this was an amazing liberation, right? I felt so liberated. I felt empowered. I learned to adapt to my situation.
Okay.
I learned how to smoke. I learned how to drink. I learned how to find a place to stay. I slept in a circus tent. I did all kinds of crazy things.
Right.
And it's because I had to. And I was really nervous at first. I was scared when I got there.
Right.
But the confidence then began to build. I began to feel very comfortable about what I was going to do and how I was going to do it and where I went next. And by the end of my trip, I had no plans to go anywhere. I would meet people, and that's how I would learn the next place I wanted to go. So I went all over Germany and Italy. I went over to the Czech Republic. I went all over France and Switzerland. And so when I think about that experience, and I think about how liberating it was for me, I take those lessons and I apply them to my law practice today. And so I think to myself, well, you know, where are clients going to come from? Well, we're going to go find them. And I think to myself, well, what am I going to do when I find a client? Well, we're going to learn what they need. And one of the most important things I learned when I was traveling and meeting these people, and that is how you treat them, Mike. How you treat people, right? And when you treat people right, good things happen to both of you. And so that's what I did. And I apply those lessons from that long ago, even to my practice today. And that was a very valuable experience for me. And even today, clients appreciate the way we treat them, and they appreciate how when we see their needs,
Right.
how do we solve them with them?
But you also must have a knack for connecting with people, because to be able to just run into somebody and then get invited to stay at their house for a night, that's unusual, you know, because you're a complete stranger. So, you know, again, I don't know if there's any connection with, you know, calling, you know, on consumers, but you must have some communication skills that are special and unique and effective for you to get, you know, invited to someone's house, especially in a foreign country. Is that true? Or,
you know, I think there is a sense in which that's true a little bit. You know, one of the things I did in high school, Mike, was I was in the chorus, and many people.
The chorus.
I was a singer.
Oh, okay.
Believe it or not.
All right. Wow.
And the reason I bring that up is because I learned a lot about communication when I was a singer. Speak clearly.
Right.
Articulate.
Yep.
Sit up straight. Look your friend in the eye. Those basic things mean a lot. Smile. Our instructor was always telling us, smile, because it makes a difference. And the way you communicate and what you communicate, I think, really goes a long way towards engendering the kind of feelings you're talking about making people feel comfortable.
And so those very words, those very techniques, the lessons that you just mentioned, can that also be applied in coaching, collectors and agents in call centers? Is there a connection there?
There is no doubt in my mind that the answer is yes. Yeah. Because one of the things that our instructor always told us, not just to always do the speaking, but to do the listening as well. Listen to the person next to you. Listen to the person in front of you. You need to be simpatico with them.
Right.
And so those kind of lessons are the very same kind of lessons that we teach collectors today. Listen to what this consumer is telling you. Understand and identify their needs, and then think creatively to meet their needs, while at the same time meeting your needs as well. It can happen.
That's exciting. So in your vision for the Bedard Law Group going forward, and your knowledge and vision of what you think is going to happen in the debt buying industry, how will you apply these lessons going forward? Has anything changed?
Well, we all are observing right now a lot of change in the debt buying industry. The thing that gives me a lot of encouragement and hope is that I think that the best days of the debt buying industry are ahead of us and not behind us. And that's because our economy is going to continue to grow. The volume of accounts in our economy is going to continue to grow, in my view.
Right.
And that is going to give rise to a growing need for the collection services that this industry provides, including the debt buying industry. And so one of the ways that our office, is positioning to accommodate those changes is to constantly have our finger on the pulse of what the marketplace needs. We are nimble, we are observant, we care about our clients, and when we learn that our clients' business is changing and their needs are changing, we change with it. And that's what we bring to the industry, and that's what we bring to clients. And that's another differentiator of our firm than many of our very, very good colleagues in the industry that do the same thing.
So we're coming to the end of our show here, and it's an interesting note to close on that I guess in a summary, I'm sensing that you feel that Bedard Law is on the kind of cutting edge of what collection agencies, debt buyers are going to need in terms of both legal and call center support services. You talked about some of the apps that you're doing. Do you want to share in closing here with some of your plans for the future for Bedard Law that our listeners can take advantage of?
Absolutely. And so what we are doing right now, in fact, we've just recently launched a new service at our office called BLG 360, which is a flat fee, comprehensive legal service that we provide to clients, again, as a reaction to our observation of what clients need, which is predictable legal cost that their business needs over time. And we've identified the services that clients need over and over and constantly, and we are that legal resource for those folks. And so we are expanding our service line. We are expanding our pricing models. You don't have to hire all lawyers at an hourly rate anymore. And so alternative fee arrangements.
You're pricing on a project basis then, or product basis? Or
both.
Both.
Okay. So on a project basis for compliance projects, we have worked with clients on flat fee arrangements. Even on litigation services, we have clients who pay flat fees for litigation services, in addition to the product specific services that you've described, which is, for example, our speech analytics and our BLG 360. And so from product to service, we are exploring alternative pricing arrangements with clients, and they have been very receptive to that.
And does that help? How does that help increase the stickiness then with your client base?
Well, one of the reasons that we've created the BLG 360 is because clients need a resource for legal services that they can pick up the phone all the time, get the help they need, and be comfortable that they're not getting billed all the time by the hour for that. And so to the extent you can be there for the client every time they have a legal need, it does create this thing you call stickiness. But one of the other services that is included in our BLG 360 service is on-site evaluation by our lawyers. And so included in that service, we actually come to your office and we shake your hand and we look you in the eye and we look at your operation and we develop relationship through the product in the service. And that's another way that we develop relationship. That's another way we develop trust, and that's what clients need.
So it sounds like you've kind of designed almost a full continuum or almost a circle. Is that? And I was thinking about the name, the BLG 360. Is that how you came up with the name?
That's exactly right.
Okay.
We provide 360 degrees of the legal service you need.
Okay.
That's exactly right.
Everything from, I guess, ARM law, speech analytics, compliance,
letter review, defense litigation, regulatory defense litigation, policies and procedures, call scripts, collection agreement review, on-site examination, you name it. We fulfill client needs for comprehensive legal service.
On that note, I'd like to thank John Bedard for his time this afternoon. I think it's a terrific story about how you started with very little, and now at this point in 2017, you've got a full continuum, a full circle of solutions for the collections and debt buying industries. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon, John, and congratulations on all your success with the Bedard Law Group.
My pleasure to be here. Thank you very much, Mike.
Thank you for joining Michael Flock and his guests on the Capital Club Radio Show. For more information on future interviews, please visit us at flockfinance.com. This program is brought